All right, in this video, I'm going to walk you through my personal steps that I take each and every week to develop my powerful weekly routine. Now, before I start, I wanted to walk you through what I call my overarching real estate framework. This is one framework that rules them all. It's called the real estate agent cycle of life. And what this means is that we go through this cycle in our business, year over year, week over week, day after day. And it's the same cycle no matter how we build the business that we all go through. There's 4 phases: seed, nurture, harvest, and regrowth. And it's this cycle. It just continues to go and go and go. Now, what are they? Seed is just like out in a farmer's field. We have to plant seeds out there in hopes to start anything, right? Well, this is like lead generation for us. This is LG, lead generation. Nurturing, though, once you plant the seed, you need to water it, you need to nurture it, you need to give it fertilizer, you need to give it sun, all this stuff. This is taking the contact record and nurturing and furthering the relationship. Then it goes to the harvest. The harvest is when we actually get to play realtor. This is where we're showing houses, listing houses, and we're working with clients now. This is when we actually get a paycheck as we're working through the closings, just like out in the farmer's field, where we get to harvest the fruit off of the tree. And then there's regrowth. Regrowth is like, okay, now that I've harvested it, can I make it into more? Just like out in the field, when they harvest everything off, they prepare the field to sow it for future years to come. That's regrowth for a business. But the reason I bring this up is because when we're talking about weekly planning and building a powerful weekly routine, we are doing a lot of stuff in our daily business to seed, to lead generate, to prospect, to do all these things, right? We're also doing a lot of things in times our follow-up blocks. We're trying to convert people. We're building relationships. We're nurturing them. There's a lot of layers to this. When we actually have active clients and we're working through the buyers, the showing activities, the listings, the launching, the marketing, there's a lot of layers again. And then finally, when we regrow, if we have any energy left, we have another lot of things that we need to do. When I sell a house, I do X, Y, and Z. When I bring a buyer, I do A, B, and C. These are all things we need to manage. So how do we do this? Well, there's a 5th phase, and this is Mother Nature, right? This is Mother Nature. And why I labeled it this is because out there in the field, Mother Nature is the thing that's controlling everything, right? It is the thing that's figured out the sun and the rain and the nutrients, right? It's Mother Nature that's handling the entire process for us. So us, when it comes to business planning and managing a powerful weekly routine, we need to play Mother Nature in our own business. Now, I believe if we're going to have a fighting chance at all to manage everything I just talked about among that cycle of life, if we're going to have a fighting chance, we need to be in control of ourselves. We need to be in control. We need to harness the power of Mother Nature. And that is what this weekly routine is all about. This has been my only superpower in this business. I'm not smarter than the rest. I don't have more creative ideas than the rest. I've been able to build one of the most successful teams in North America, but off the backs of the mundane, off the backs of controlling what I do every single day with intention. And this is what I want to instill in you. So how are we going to do this? This is what I'm going to talk to you about. Let's dig into my 5 steps for creating a powerful weekly routine. And let's dive into step number 1. This all starts on Sundays, you guys. Sundays for me, Sunday planning session. I want you to guard and protect it, just like this little soldier, G and P. We need to guard and protect a Sunday time block for you. Now, when I was doing this for years, I've done this now for 11 years straight, every single week. That's 52 weeks a year times 11 years. That's a lot of practicing and tweaking this. The time block for me used to be in the evenings, but now it's now in the mornings. So I'm not going to tell you when to do it. I'm just going to tell you to find the time that works best for you. When I first started it took about 90 minutes to fully go through the action steps that I'm going to walk you through. Now for me, it's about 5 to 15 minutes because I'm very dialed in my schedule. It gets better, it gets faster. And what I know is, I mentioned this on the screen, is you want to have an accountability partner on this. I have that in my children. My kids know when I am in this office that thing is closed. I'm either on a Zoom call, recording a video, or when it's Sundays, they generally know it's my Sunday planning session. And wife know this too. So we plan our life around me and them so that I get what I need done and put into a calendar so that I have a chance, I have that fighting chance to win. even yesterday and last week, I was coming back from a trip to the lake. And again, I have that travel time booked in there, and I knew I had a lot of things coming up. I am using this every single time, no matter what, because I do not want to ever start Monday not knowing what I'm going to do. All right, so step 2, let's roll forward to that. Step 2 is a look back. They say the rearview mirror is smaller than the front window for a reason, because they don't want you looking back. But this is the first thing that I've found over the years that as I've incorporated it into my business planning, into my weekly calendar, is that I need to do this. I need to do this because if I trust myself, if I'm in full integrity with my planning, that I know last week I sat down and did this exact same thing. What do I know? Well, I know I thoroughly thought this through. That if I look back into my calendar and I find out what elements didn't get done and which items did, the first thing I do is I go back to see, are there still elements that were left undone that I know I had physically thought through that should roll forward and take precedent this week? This is the first thing I do. I give myself a 2-week rule, because if I do this 2 weeks in a row and things are still sitting there undone, it's either I'm not giving myself the right time blocking and I'm allowing other things to prioritize over it. So if that's the case, after 2 weeks that I'm not continuing to do the work that I set, I put it off to like a wait and see board. And that's one of these things. I don't delete it because generally that would have been a good idea. It just might not be the right idea for now. Does that sound good? So look back to the calendar. And if you've never used a calendar before, you have nothing to look back to, but go back to your notebook, go back to your memory a little bit to say, is there anything left undone, and get it out of your head. All right, step 3, personal needs, right? I always tell this to my agents. I tell this to everybody that's around me. If I'm not prepared, if I'm not in good health, if I'm not in good spirits, everybody else gets the worst of me. I can't be the leader that I want to be. I can't be the teacher that I want to be. I can't be the parent. I can't be the spouse that I want to be. So you need to take care of yourself first. So your personal items have to go into your calendar right after you've done the look back session. And you need to place them wherever they need to go to make sure that you are firing on all cylinders. You need to be up and running. The agents that put themselves last burn out incredibly fast, especially if they have a big goal that they want to chase in this business. All right, what do we do next? Well, if you've done that, now we need to set the plan for the week, right? Set the plan for the week. How do we do this? Well, many of you probably have some sort of a business plan that you're following, right? I want you to review your goals like it just says on the screen. Review your goals. I use a concept called the 90-day year. The 90-day year, there's a book that I'm going to talk to you about in just a second. It creates this 13-week journey. I can see 13 weeks ahead. I can plan 13 weeks ahead. I can work off of assumptions that are likely legitimate versus an annual business plan where you're expecting things to be done on top of things that have yet to ever get done and you don't know if they ever will. I believe it's just a recipe for disaster and mostly disappointment. So I use a pre-annual business plan step. One of my videos on my YouTube channel has that on there. You can just go back and scroll through my playlist and you can find this to decide your number of conversations and appointments per day. All right, this is what it looks like if it's drawing a memory from one of my prior videos. So this is the book I was telling you about. I was given this by a realtor friend of mine, actually, when I bought my lake property, Brian P. Moore in the 12-week year. And it breaks this concept down for you. No more planning on assumptions, keeps you engaged. All of us as agents, we need a little bit of healthy urgency to get things done. When we give ourselves too much time, it just lengthens it. And oftentimes we just put it off for later and then it doesn't get done in an annual planning. So as you've done this, guys, you're going to review and decide out of your plan, what's the most important task for you in your business at this given point? Most important task, MIT, right? You need to find new business every week. We need to keep the current business we have, and we have to execute on the actives. So find time blocks for each of those 3 things. Keep, find, and execute. All of it needs time blocking, and this is where you're going to find the slots within your calendar that hasn't been used by personal and looking back so far. All right, so then I add it to my calendar and I work the calendar. This is a screenshot of a perfect realtor's calendar that I had put together. Now, does it always work out like this? No, but the goal is set. This is what I intend to do. And we know this is how it works. Now, one thing you might know if you look close enough on the screen, the first part of the day, 9, even 8, say till noon. This is meant for your business building. This is not meant for client appointments. This is not meant for taking appointments. This is meant for building and prospecting and getting through things. From 12 o'clock onward, this is where you can go and roll into active client work, into the follow-up work, and all the things that are actually less tasking than the creative, like creating a video like this, like doing all the follow-ups and doing all the prospecting calls that you need to pump yourself up for, to making all those touch points. And this is also for things like appointments and showings and CMAs and buyer searches, all the stuff that is the typical realtoring. This can be done in the afternoon when your own brain power has actually been depleted because you put a lot of energy into the front half of the day. All right. Now, I do this every single week because of this 60-to-1 rule. And it means for the pilots that if they're 1 degree off of their destination and they go 60 miles, what happens is they're 1 mile off course already. So this week by week plan to review your goals and to place them in, to go through that exercise is so important because you want to stay on path. You don't want to be diverting so much back and forth that you're wasting a lot of energy and time that you just don't have. Now, a lot of people would also say, Darren, this is a calendar. It looks like you're trying to fill it up like a bingo card, and it looks pretty scary to me. And I don't know if I can live that because life doesn't work that way. Well, I'm going to say, without that intention, without that hope, without trying through this, I've been doing this for 11 years. I would suggest you give it a try. A lot of people will say, well, I need a lot of blank space. I need a lot of, I would say they use the word white space. I believe personally that white space has to be earned. Meaning white space, meaning there's nothing booked. I said this has to be earned once you know how to legitimately get through a planned week with your most focused items, that you have now earned the opportunity to have some freedom and some breath in your week. Because the agents that say, well, I need this early, and they don't have the plan, they end up just spinning their wheels and they stay in the rat race. All right. Now, one thing that I've used to keep on track of this on a daily basis is something called the self journal, right? This transfers it from a weekly rhythm into a daily rhythm, and then something you can look at with your eyes every single day, and you can stare down to say, okay, this is exactly what I need to be doing. And I've used the self journal. All right. Now, if I were to give you a few pro tips as we end this video, because I know I don't want to take too much of your time, hold your morning sacred. I told you this already. This is where your willpower is the strongest. I also want you to time block with breaks, because I know while you're sitting here and getting stuff done, there's actual science behind this. If you have a 30-minute time block, get up after 25 and stand and stretch for 5 minutes. If you do a 50-minute time block, stand and walk around for 10 minutes. It'll help you. It'll actually move your needle forward rather than take time away from what you think is wasting time. The other thing is change your communication strategy. For those of you with assistants, or those of you just working with other people, which is other agents, spouses, family, you want to use this concept of if-then statements. If-then meaning if you finish this, then do that too, right? That type of concept. If you can't do that, wait for me, but get on with that. And it's this constant messaging that you can do with your kids, with your spouse, with other agents, so that while you're doing this 9 to 12 time block where you're focused on your most important tasks, your MITs, you don't have to feel stressed. You don't have to feel concerned, because you've given people proper messaging that they get something done, and then if they're done it, then do something else. It buys you some more time and freedom. All right. More tips, travel time in your calendar. As silly as that sounds, you try to book a detailed calendar without proper time buffers, you're going to struggle getting through things, and you're going to be more stressed than before you started this calendaring exercise. And then a final pro tip is this concept of CEO time. CEO time is what I use. I used to do it from 9 to 12 on Wednesdays, right? Then it became 9 to 3 on Wednesdays. I know friends of mine that just don't work Fridays, and they do work, but they use CEO time for it. And what that means is there's no appointments. That means it's free thinking time, because you've done everything that you're supposed to have done for the week, that you know you can just play CEO. Think about how you're going to drive the business forward. What's your next steps? You need some free time to just grow and build as a human, and that's what this is for. So at the end of all of this is this daily wrap up. Daily wrap up is there to catch you because we know you're going to need to be caught. Nothing goes perfect. Nothing goes perfect, and things don't just happen when you want them to happen, i.e. somebody calls you outside of your time blocking session and you have to input them into your CRM. I use a 15 to 20 minute daily wrap up when I drive into my driveway and I park on the front. My kids know that I'm home, but they also know that I'm here checking and managing a few things before I convert from realtor dad to dad or spouse. If I don't do this, I transfer all that's in my scariness in my head that's happened in the day into my time with my kids and my spouse, and it doesn't go very well. None of us want to be doing this. So this transition moment, this daily wrap up is incredibly powerful for you that I suggest you work in, and it helps you transition properly and it keeps you up to date with all of the crazy whirlwind that comes throughout every day. All right. I guess one last thing is just know that this takes time. I have done this for 11 years straight. It has been my superpower, as I mentioned. It's going to take effort, dedication. It's going to feel weird, just like building any new habits. I tweak mine every single week. I learn more every single day about what works and what doesn't work, what time, what doesn't, what needs more time, what's better at certain times of the day and worse at other times of the day. My phone, as a result, has been on silent for an entire decade because I check my phone when I want to check it. I manage everything else so that when I need to get something done, I have the freedom to do it, and then I get back to the rest. So with this video, my friends, I hope it's helped you kind of define what a proper weekly routine could look like, how to structure it, and I hope that you can bring parts of this into your world and use it like a superpower like I have. Until next time.